Did you feel that? Like a strange buzz in your head, almost like someone whispering, but not in words. That's how it began. A quiet unease rippling through the collective minds of people all over Earth. A vague sense of intrusion, like a gentle prod to see if the door was unlocked. No alarms blared, no meteors crashed down from the heavens. Just a strange sensation that left humanity puzzled and, for the most part, annoyed. What we didn't know then was that we were being tested. A species far beyond our comprehension had reached out, not with weapons or armies, but with their minds. They called themselves the Lurevax, a name they'd never bothered to share until much later. To us, they were simply them at first, the intruders. The Lurevax weren't conquerors in the traditional sense. Their weapons weren't lasers or missiles, but an ancient and devastating power. Mind control. Over centuries, they had subdued countless planets, bending entire civilizations to their will without firing a single shot. They'd perfected the art of whispering directly into the consciousness of a species, turning minds into tools and wills into puppets. Earth was supposed to be easy, a minor addition to their growing collection of subdued worlds. But humanity had a surprise in store for them. It all started when the buzzing in people's heads grew louder. No one could pinpoint when it began exactly, but by the time the first reports hit social media, millions were already experiencing the phenomenon. People described it as a vague static, like trying to tune an old radio. Others felt sudden, inexplicable urges to stare blankly at walls, to hum tunes they'd never heard before, or to agree with things they wouldn't normally agree with. "It's like someone's trying to hack my brain," said one Reddit user in a now infamous thread. "But every time they try, it's like they hit a wall and I get this splitting headache." By the time neuroscientists, psychologists, and conspiracy theorists scrambled to figure out what was happening, the Lurevax were growing frustrated. From their perspective, humanity was odd. Primitive, yes. Disorganized, absolutely. But the Lurevax were not prepared for the chaotic mess that was the human mind. One of the invaders, Xyrith, voiced their confusion to the rest of the collective. "They resist," Xyrith transmitted, his tone sharp and tinged with disbelief. "Not in the way others do. It's not willpower. It's chaos. Their thoughts don't follow any pattern. I cannot find an anchor." Velayar, a senior among the Lurevax, responded with calm reassurance. "Chaos is but an illusion, Xyrith. All minds have structure. Probe deeper. Focus on the masses. Individuals are irrelevant." But Xyrith wasn't convinced. Something about these humans was different. Unlike other species, their collective mind didn't move as one. It wasn't a synchronized stream of thoughts or a unified consciousness. Instead, it was a cacophony. Millions of voices, each shouting over the other, each completely unpredictable. It was like trying to catch water in a net. Meanwhile, humanity's response to the growing mental interference was uniquely human. Some panicked. Conspiracy theories about government mind control experiments flooded the internet. Others blamed 5G towers, solar flares, or a global psychic awakening. Religious leaders declared it a sign of the end times. And then there were those who simply shrugged and carried on. "Feels like my brain's buffering," said a popular TikTok user, laughing as they mimed a spinning loading icon on their forehead. The video went viral, sparking a trend of people making light of the phenomenon. Memes circulated, hashtags trended, and the collective anxiety started to morph into collective amusement. And that's where the Lurevax made their first mistake. They underestimated humanity's ability to turn fear into humor. By the second week, the Lurevax escalated their efforts. They focused their mental energies on smaller, isolated populations, hoping to find cracks in the human psyche. Villages in remote areas suddenly fell silent. Towns experienced waves of bizarre behavior. People walking in perfect unison, speaking in monotone, or freezing mid-action as if paused by some invisible force. It worked briefly, but then the Lurevax encountered another problem. Humans are incredibly, stubbornly unpredictable. In one such village, a young boy named Eli became an unexpected anomaly. When his neighbors began acting strangely, Eli's mind fought back. Not consciously, but instinctively. He had a wild imagination, the kind fueled by comic books and Saturday morning cartoons. And somehow, that imagination created a mental barrier so erratic that the Lurevax couldn't penetrate it. This child, Xyrith observed with growing irritation, is a paradox. His thoughts defy reason. His mind bends reality within itself. Eli didn't know any of this, of course. He just knew that when he imagined himself as a superhero with an impenetrable shield, the strange buzzing in his head stopped. Word of his resistance spread, and soon, other children began copying him. Across the globe, kids turned to their imaginations, and adults, desperate for relief, followed suit. Suddenly, the world was full of people imagining themselves as knights, wizards, and untouchable forces of nature. The Lurevax were overwhelmed. This species is defective, Velayar finally admitted, frustration leaking into their normally composed tone. Their minds are like storms. No pattern, no order. Even their defenses are not deliberate. How do we conquer something that fights without knowing it's fighting? For the first time in millennia, the Lurevax faced failure. They couldn't adapt to humanity's chaotic, stubbornly individualistic nature. Their powers, honed to control and subdue, were useless against a species whose greatest strength was its unpredictability. The more the Lurevax tried, the deeper they fell into frustration. Attempts to isolate specific individuals with more disciplined minds, scientists, military leaders, or spiritual figures, only led to greater confusion. Each time they thought they had identified a pattern or a vulnerability, it dissolved into chaos. Humanity, as it turned out, was impossible to pin down. Some of the brightest minds on Earth, oblivious to the alien intrusion, inadvertently made the situation worse for the Lurevax. For example, a renowned theoretical physicist developed a groundbreaking new equation during the height of the mental interference. It wasn't just brilliant, it was chaotic, bending mathematical conventions in ways that baffled even human peers. For the Lurevax, it was like staring into the void and finding it staring back, laughing. Meanwhile, the children's imaginations grew wilder. They shared their ideas online, creating a global tapestry of whimsical resistance. Some imagined themselves as invincible warriors, while others visualized absurd defenses like being wrapped in layers of peanut butter or riding on the back of rainbow-colored dragons. It was nonsensical, but it worked. The sheer absurdity of these thoughts acted as a shield, confounding the Lurevax even further. Xyritha's frustration boiled over in a rare outburst during a council meeting. They think in contradictions. One moment they're logical, the next they're absurd. How do you infiltrate a mind that doesn't even follow its own rules? Velayar, usually calm and composed, began to show signs of wear. Perhaps this species is not defective, but evolved. Chaos may be their strength, their weapon. And if that's the case, we have no countermeasure. As the weeks dragged on, the buzzing in humanity's minds diminished, signaling the Lurevax's retreat. Yet, their withdrawal was not without cost. Across their vast network of subdued worlds, whispers began to spread. Other species, once cowed into submission, heard rumors of a chaotic planet that had resisted the invincible Lurevax. Hope began to stir among the conquered. The Lurevax Council convened in the shadow of a dying star, their defeat a stain on their reputation. Xyrith, though embittered, offered a chilling observation. If humanity's chaos is their defense, then it is also their potential. Left unchecked, they could one day pose a threat not just to us, but to the entire cosmic order. Velayar nodded solemnly. We must watch them, not just for our safety, but for the balance of the universe. And so, the Lurevax stationed cloaked ships near Earth, their silent observers blending into the darkness of space. They would study humanity, hoping to understand the unpredictable nature that had bested them. Back on Earth, life returned to normal, or as normal as it could be after such an experience. People shared their bizarre stories, scientists wrote speculative papers, and conspiracy theorists spun intricate tales about alien invasions. But for most, the event faded into memory, becoming just another mystery in a world full of them. Children, however, held on to the magic. They continued to imagine themselves as superheroes and adventurers, their unbridled creativity a quiet reminder of the strength humanity had unknowingly wielded. Some of these children grew up to become artists, scientists, and leaders, carrying that spark of chaos into their work. And somewhere, deep in the vast expanse of space, the Lurevax watched, waiting for a pattern to emerge. But none ever did. Humanity remained as chaotic and unpredictable as ever. And in that chaos lay a quiet, unshakable truth. No force in the universe could conquer what it could not comprehend. The story of humanity's resistance became a legend among the stars, a testament to the power of imagination, individuality, and the beautiful, untamable chaos of being human. While the Lurevax retreated to the shadows, humanity's creativity continued to ripple across the cosmos in unexpected ways. Among the subdued worlds, whispers grew louder. Entire civilizations, long thought docile and under the Lurevax thumb, began to dream again. They imagined themselves as more than subjugated beings. They remembered freedom, chaos, and individuality. Velar received troubling reports from their watch stations. Planets once silent had started exhibiting anomalies. The Lurevax's psychic grip was weakening, not through rebellion but through something far subtler: hope. Humanity's defiance, its refusal to fit the mold, was acting like a beacon, inspiring other worlds. This cannot continue, Velar warned their council. Their chaos is infectious. Xyrith, still embittered, suggested a more drastic measure. We must contain them, destroy their capacity to spread this anomaly. But others in the council hesitated. For the first time in their existence, the Lurevax faced an existential question. Was their domination truly the ultimate path, or had humanity exposed a flaw in their philosophy? Back on Earth, the aftereffects of the Lurevax encounter took on strange forms. Artists began to create works that felt alien, as though tapping into a collective subconscious shaped by the brief mental intrusion. Musicians composed symphonies that defied conventional harmony, yet resonated deeply with audiences. Writers penned stories of alien encounters that felt eerily accurate, sparking debates about collective memory and imagination. And then there were the dreamers, those who claimed they could still feel the presence of the Lurevax, not as intruders but as watchers. These individuals reported vivid dreams of distant stars, cloaked ships, and a quiet, persistent hum that never truly left their minds. Were they remnants of the invasion, or the first glimpses of a deeper connection forming between humanity and its would-be conquerors? Children continued to play their imaginary games, but with new twists. They spoke of the buzzing as though it were a character in their stories. They imagined themselves not just as heroes but as diplomats, reaching out to the alien minds to teach them the joy of chaos and creativity. Parents dismissed it as fanciful play, but some couldn't shake the feeling that their kids knew something they didn't. In the depths of space, Velar observed Earth through a psychic projection, their thoughts troubled. What have we unleashed? They pondered. A force we cannot control or an ally we have yet to understand? The Lurevax's defeat had reshaped their view of the universe. They had always seen themselves as the pinnacle of evolution, but humanity's resistance revealed the limits of their power. Perhaps chaos wasn't a defect but an advanced trait, one that their own species had long since eradicated. As humanity thrived, the Lurevax watched, studied, and, on rare occasions, wondered if their failure was, in fact, the beginning of something greater. A new chapter in the story of the cosmos. A story that, like humanity itself, refused to follow any predictable path.